Are you ready to discover why you feel stuck beneath an invisible ceiling and break through that ceiling in a safe, natural way? We don't want any glass cutting us as we go through. So we're going to talk about easy, natural ways to deal with these stuck feelings or where we repeat patterns. I'm Marnie Pehrson, and welcome to 7 Barriers to Success and How to Break Through Them. What you can expect today is those 7 barriers introduced to you. And I have found them in working with clients that almost everybody deals with these 7 barriers. Some people have worked through them a little bit more than others, but a lot of times there's residue on all of these. Okay, so we're going to talk about the symptoms and the causes of each of these, so you'll know where they're coming from. And I'm going to give you a strategy to help you break through the barriers, and that's more toward the latter part of the call. And you want to stay on to the very end, because if you're on here live, you're going to get an offer that nobody else is going to see. So be sure and stay on to the very end. Okay. I'm Marnie Pehrson, and just if you don't know a little bit about me, I'm the creator of the first online article directory. I'm a best-selling author of 25 books, about half of them inspirational nonfiction and the other half historical fiction. I'm a certified SimplyHealed practitioner, and you can always learn more about SimplyHealed at SimplyHealed.com. She's got some great resources on there that explains what SimplyHealed is. And using the principles that I've talked about today and the methods I'm going to talk about today, I released 50 pounds and reinvented my life. Totally changed my life around and did something gutsy that I never thought I would have had the guts to do, because I was stuck behind a lot of these 7 barriers that we're talking about here today. And using the techniques that I'm going to introduce to you today, I was able to make that level of a shift in my life and really take my life to a better place. I'm also the mother of 6 children, and very proud of those 6 children, 2 grandchildren on the way. So when you break through these barriers, this is what you can expect to see happen in your life. Your life and your business will become easier. Not to say you won't have problems or challenges. We all have those. But things flow easier when you get these blocks out of the way. Imagine that you're inside of a house and you need to get out the door, but there's a bunch of boxes and bags and junk and clutter between you and the doorway. And if you could just move those things out of the way, then you could just get out the door and do what you need to do for the day, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about here. You'll also attract your ideal clients to you, because you'll be clearer and people will be able to resonate with you, and you're going to pull those people to you. You're going to be clear about them. People will also respect and value what you have to offer more once you break through these barriers. And people will be willing to pay you what you're worth, because you will see your worth and you will resonate with your own value. And success becomes achievable and sustainable when you break through these barriers. Okay, so let's start with number 1, fear of success. Now, a lot of people might think, well, I'm not afraid of success, but a lot of us really are. We're afraid to succeed. And if any of these symptoms sound familiar, it could be because there's some fear of success lying somewhere within your emotional or energy systems or subconscious mind somewhere. If you get close to success, but something comes along to sabotage your opportunities, it could be a fear of success. If you create success but then swiftly lose it, it could be a fear of success. Now, there are people who go through their lives a long time with creating success and built something successful, and then something comes along to wipe it out and they start over. And I don't really think that is necessarily a fear of success so much as it is, okay, it's time to learn some new lessons and some new opportunities in life are going to come out of that. Maybe you need to take a new direction. So that may not be a fear of success, but a repetitive, make it, lose it, make it, lose it, make it, lose it kind of thing could be an indicator of the fear of success. Another symptom might be that you can't even begin to imagine success. And there can be phases in our lives where we can imagine success, and then we get hit by a series of hammering that makes you lose your confidence, and that can cause an inability to even imagine success. So that, too, could be caused by another one of the fears in the list. But these are kind of some overall symptoms of the fear of success. The causes of it are other people's judgment. We're afraid of what other people are going to think when we are successful. Are they going to treat us different? Are our family and friends going to come begging for money if we, are they going to maybe think we think we're better than they are? Or all those different, are they going to treat me different? Will I have to get different friends? This judgment call of other people, sometimes we play small because we don't want to stand out and make other people feel bad even, that maybe they're going to look at us and feel bad or something like that. Another one is concerns over pride. A lot of believers have this one because, you see the cyclical patterns in the Bible, scriptures, that people who get proud, they get arrogant and successful, and then their, pride goes before a fall kind of thing. So we avoid success so that we won't be proud. Well, I have news for you. You can be proud when you're poor, too. So it's not really a reason not to be successful. It's gratitude. When we're connected to gratitude fully, you can be very successful, and it doesn't have to go to pride. Another reason why people fear success is a loss of freedom. A lot of us have the illusion that if I'm really successful and my business takes off, I hear this a lot from young mothers who are starting some kind of home business. They want to spend the time with their kids, and they're afraid that this business is going to suck every living minute out of their day, and they're going to give their kids the shaft, and if they get this success, then it's going to destroy the freedom they have to spend time with their family or whatnot. Well, I have news for you. Success does not mean loss of freedom. If anything, it creates more freedom. You have more time and money freedom when you're truly successful, if you do it right, if you build your success on a foundation of proper delegation and perhaps using automation and different tools so that you're not always working in your business, and you're more stepping back working on your business. You have a lot of freedom to control when you work and how you work. And I built a multi-six-figure business around my article directory, Ideal Marketers, before the landscape changed for content directories. And at that point, I had an immense amount of freedom. It was a very successful business, and there was no working, tons of hours. I had plenty of freedom to take time off and spend with my family. So that's really a false belief around there, that you're going to lose freedom. And it's really huge for entrepreneurs, because the reason why we want to be entrepreneurs is we really prize and value our freedom to choose, to control when we work, when we don't work. And so this probably is the biggest one I see crop up for entrepreneurs that sabotages their success, because they're afraid they're going to lose that freedom if they're successful. Another one I mentioned already a little bit is the mommy guilt. The young mothers who are afraid that if they're successful, they're going to lose that time with their children. And then family patterns. It could be that we had family members who were successful and were perhaps a bad example, or they let it go to their heads, or maybe we have family patterns of poverty and we're afraid to break out of those, or we just don't know anything different, or all those kind of things can come into play. And then I like to call it the God excuse, that God doesn't want me to be successful. But, there's actually a verse in Joshua somewhere, I forget exactly where it is, but it talks about meditating upon the law and living it, and then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So God is saying, do what I ask you to do, live the way I tell you to live, and you're going to succeed. You're going to be prosperous. It's a natural outgrowth of God's way of living. It's His plan of happiness that we be successful, that we have the things that we need. So that's that, again, is a false belief to think that God wants us to remain poor so that we can stay humble, so that we, remain in that low place. Okay, symptoms of the next one, the fear of failure, is a twin to fulfill the fear of success. And some symptoms that you might have that one would be a pattern of things not working out. Just you try and it just doesn't work out. Low expectations, where you just don't expect anymore. You've lost hope almost that you could even expect for anything different. You may as well just settle, and you don't even go for what you really want anymore because there's this pattern of failure. Another fear of failure is analysis paralysis, where you look at your ideas or your paths to choose from in such a critical way that you kind of pick them apart until you just don't do anything. And that's because we're so afraid of failure. We're afraid that if we go down that path and it's the wrong one, we're going to fail, we're going to lose face in front of other people, or maybe we're going to be disappointed ourselves, or we just can't take the disappointment or whatever. And so we just don't make choices. We don't go forward because we're paralyzed by this fear of failure. Disillusionment is kind of in that hopelessness, as I mentioned before, and kind of a cynicism about life. Yeah, it works for everybody, but not me, kind of thing. Got a little bit of background noise, and I want to see if I can mute that. I will try to remember to unmute whoever that was later. So the causes of the fear of failure are a lot of times trauma from our past failures, things that really hit us hard. If you've had a past bankruptcy, that could leave trauma in the timeline of your life and create some fear of, I don't want to go there again. So, family patterns, as I mentioned, what you've seen in the family you grew up in, or even generational patterns that go down through several generations. Being stuck in a cycle of hopelessness. There's a movie, I forget what it's called, it had Keanu Reeves in it, The Replacements. He has this one scene in there, he's the quarterback, and they're brought in to replace the football team that's gone on strike. So they bring all these sort of reject guys in to play in the NFL. And Keanu Reeves is talking in there. Well, the main guy asks questions. I think it's Gene Hackman asks, okay, what are you afraid of? And one man says, bees. I'm really just afraid of bees. And there's this big kind of funny, comical discussion about how these big football players are scared of bees. And Gene Hackman says, no, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. And finally Keanu Reeves says, quicksand. And the other guys are like, quicksand? Yeah, boy, it'd be scary to get stuck in some of that quicksand or whatever. And Gene Hackman's like, no, I think he's talking about something else. And Keanu Reeves goes, no, it's when you're out there and you make a mistake, and then something else goes wrong, and something else goes wrong, and then you're paralyzed because you don't know how you're going to get out. And it's like you're sinking in quicksand. And a lot of times we get hit by one thing after another till we have that kind of quicksand feeling that if we move, we're just going to sink further down. And it's a very hopeless state that you can work yourself into. And that could be causing some of this fear of failure. It just exacerbates it. Another thing that causes the fear of failure is lack of vision, not being able to see your way out, not being able to see the possibilities anymore. And again, that could be that you're, sunk down in some quicksand, you got mud in your eyes. False beliefs just about the way the world works and how things are going to work for you. The next barrier is the fear of confrontation. I think I'm the poster child for the fear of confrontation, or I should say I used to be. I'm much better about it now, but there's still some residue. When the symptoms are peace at any price. You will do whatever it takes to maintain the peace. You usually have boundary issues where you're not protecting your own value. You're letting other people kind of run over you because you just really want this piece at any price. You may be blaming yourself when other people act out. You may be an enabler. You probably are an enabler because you keep quiet about what other people do. And because you keep quiet when they do things that are inappropriate, that just kind of rewards their behavior. So it's kind of enabled them. But then when they act that way, then you blame yourself because you feel like, oh, well, I enabled it. And everything is always your fault. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit of the martyr here to some degree. And anyway, so that's kind of the cycle that goes up. And you're just not speaking up for yourself. You just let things go on. And you may get to the point where you just blow, where, okay, now it's just, I've hit my limit, and you blow. You may be easygoing, and then blow. That could be another symptom of it. And where it shows up in your business is that you don't hold your clients accountable. A lot of times they may flounder around and they don't get as good of results because you're not holding them accountable to what their part of the equation is. You take responsibility for everything. I did this a lot in the beginning of the years that I did consulting, because if I consulted a client, gave them some education along something, and then they didn't follow through, then I would beat myself up because, they didn't get the results. Well, what I wasn't taking into account is they've got the other half of the equation. They have to act and do something. Other people have to make choices and move forward. You can only do so much for them, and continuing to carry their loads for them just keeps them from having the traction they need to change their lives. So that's kind of a symptom of this one. And it also shows up as not charging what you're worth, because, again, that would require justifying what your charge is, and that might bring up some confrontation. It rarely does, but we're so afraid of it that, we won't even go there. So these are some of the symptoms of that one. And then the causes of the fear of confrontation is usually some childhood trauma, something that happened in your childhood that makes you really scared of trauma. Now, see, as I was going through my divorce, I realized that I had used this fear of confrontation throughout my entire marriage to reward behavior that I didn't like. And as I went through some therapy toward the end of that, it came up, some childhood trauma of like a bullying situation where I was really in terror of a bully situation. And that made me just terrified of conflict, and I would do anything to avoid conflict because it just scared me to death. And it especially if I was around someone who acted randomly and I couldn't trust that might do something physical to harm me in some way. If there was any hint of any of that, I would just shut my mouth, go along, not going to rock the boat. So that's an example of a childhood trauma that might cause this. Another thing is just false beliefs that, as I mentioned some of those before, that it's our responsibility for everything, or not believing that other people are playing a part in the equation. There's lots of others that we'll explore. I'm doing a Breakthrough to Radiance call series next week, and in it we really dive deep into each of these and help you remove these completely. Another thing that plays into the fear of confrontation is the core personality drivers. What drives you? If any of you are familiar with Lisa Ray Preston's STEP work, there's a core personality type in there. There's 4 core personality types, and it's what drives them, what brings you joy. The empathy is a person who just wants to make other people feel good, and that's one of my core personality drivers. So if you just always want to make other people feel good, and that's your priority, then confrontation doesn't always equate with that, because that might require someone to not feel good for a while. So we may, in our own personality, avoid it for that reason. And then family patterns, again, you'll see family patterns come up with a lot of these, what you see growing up. And this got to be good. I always had this one. Got to be the good girl. Can't rock the boat. Got to do everything right. And, of course, fighting is not right. And sometimes, see, I had a false belief that disagreeing with someone or stating my opinion or my feelings was somehow wrong if it caused any kind of conflict. If somebody even disagreed with me, that was somehow fighting. That was arguing. And you'll notice some people like to debate and they like to go back and forth, and to them that's not an argument at all. That's just a healthy exchange of ideas, and they really enjoy that. And then there's other types of people, and this goes back to the core personality drivers, that feels like an argument. That feels like fighting. That feels like something confrontational and to be feared. So just being aware of who we are helps. You can take that step into destiny. It's a core passion test for free at stepintodestiny.com if you're interested in that. Okay, so that's the confrontation. The next barrier that comes up with entrepreneurs a lot is the fear of exposure. And this can be showing up as a symptom as creating things but never really releasing them. The person who has, a dozen manuscripts on their hard drive that they've never turned into books, never done anything with them, or just tons and tons of articles or journaling and things that they've never really released any of it. That is an indicator of a fear of exposure, of putting yourself out there. And then perfectionism is also a fear of exposure because we don't want any of our flaws to be exposed. And we're not remembering that everyone is flawed in humans, but we have to have such a level of perfection that we don't want to expose anything that's not perfect in ourselves or in our work. And then another symptom of this one is the paralysis in making videos or audios or public speaking. All of those are rooted in the fear of exposure. In my Breakthrough to Radiance training sessions that I do, a lot of my students end up making videos because that's what they're scared of, and so we'll break through that and they'll actually make videos. I'll tell you about a couple ladies who did that here in a minute. And then weight issues are related to fear of exposure sometimes too. We carry the weight as a protection and a barrier, or if we're overweight, then we feel like we don't have to get in front of the camera now, or we don't have to get on a stage because, well, these weight issues are somehow protecting us from, making a fool of ourselves or whatever like that. Now, the causes of the fear of exposure, again, past trauma, you'll see that come up a lot of these. Criticism from other people. If you've been nitpicked a lot by either family members or other people that you've been around, that could create a lot of it. And again, this could go back to personality types as well. If you're more of a hard-on-your-sleeve type person and you grew up around people who are more the ones that enjoy criticism and conflict, that dynamic could create some fear of exposure. It also could make you impervious to it. I know some people who grew up with a parent who could be very critical, but it's just like water off a duck's back to them now. They don't even, criticism doesn't even bother them because they grew up hearing it. So it can go either way. Another is fearing your own greatness could be a cause of this. And I've seen this happen with clients before that are they're super talented, just amazingly talented performers or things like that, and they're almost scared of their own greatness. They're scared that their greatness will eventually lead them to be proud or arrogant, or perhaps they'll hang on to a lot of weight so that they have something to make them look more human and more some connecting point that, see, I'm not perfect. I have all of these gifts, but, I'm overweight, so that, proves I'm not perfect or whatever. So they'll impose upon themselves some kind of flaw of some kind and I say that with quotes around it because it's not a flaw to be overweight, but they'll do something to suppress the greatness and not expose so much of themselves. They'll play smaller than they had to. And self-judgment is also a cause of this fear of exposure, just being self-critical, and not, I don't know what it is, but a lot of us, we could do an exceptional presentation or speech or performance, and all we're going to remember are the flaws and the mistakes. That's where we're going to pick up, I should have done this different, this done different, and we miss that 99% of it was exceptional. And that sometimes, if it's overdone, can lead to fear of exposure. And again, false beliefs. A lot of time false beliefs come up with all of this. All right. Our next barrier is the lack of support. Feeling like it's all on you. You don't have anyone else to lean on. And sometimes it is all on you, especially if you're a single parent or something like that. It does a lot of times feel like it's all on you, but it doesn't have to be. You're not alone. You have divine beings on your side, is the way I'll say it for this class. You have support, unseen support on your behalf. But often we feel like we're all alone and it's all on us. And it makes you feel very overwhelmed, like nobody in your life you can share your dreams with, perhaps. Nobody quite gets you. And you may even have real or imagined flack from family or spouse or other people who, and I see this a lot with people that are energy practitioners or some form of, self-help people like that. They may get a lot of flack from family or spouse. But if they plug along, the family and the spouse tend to come around because they start to see that what you're doing actually does produce results in your life and the lives of other people. So it's more of a patience thing and letting it play out. But this fear of the lack of support can be self-perpetuating. When you expect not to be supported or you expect to get a lot of flack, then you get a lot of it. And the causes come from a need to control. Sometimes we really don't have the support because we don't delegate. We don't allow other people to help us. And it's because we want to control the outcome. We want things to be perfect. And if we delegate this to some support people or to our family, then something could go wrong, and it's outside of our control. So the cause there a lot of times is this need to control, or the fear of judgment by others if we do expose how we really feel and ask for the support. What if they're going to judge us? What if they're going to think less of us? All of that plays a role. There's also trust issues around other people having let us down in the past, so perhaps we don't want to trust them again. And past traumatic experiences where we weren't supported. And expectations of, as I mentioned before, it's almost self-perpetuating. If you expect other people to do you dirty, they will do you dirty. If you expect people to give you a hard time, they will give you a hard time. It's just, I don't know why it's that way, but it just is. It's self-perpetuating. Okay, so our next barrier to success is scarcity thinking. And this one shows up as being afraid to release ideas for fear there may not be more of them. And I see this one even in the most talented, brilliant people, especially people who have come up with a signature system of some kind that's just brilliant. They're afraid that's it, that they're a one-hit wonder, and that's the only idea that they're ever going to get, and they better keep that thing to themselves and protect it, hyper-protect it. I mean, I'm not saying don't protect your ideas in normal legal ways, but sometimes it's just overly done. Just really people that are really super afraid of what other people are going to do with their ideas, or that they're not going to have any more, is really the root of it. They're afraid their ideas will get stolen. I don't ever even think about my ideas getting stolen, to be honest with you. Maybe I don't think my ideas are that great, but no, but I've had some pretty good ideas in my day, but I don't really worry about them getting stolen because there's plenty of them out there. But if you're really hyper aware of that or hyper concerned about your ideas getting stolen, it could be a scarcity thinking symptom. Money issues come out of scarcity thinking. And this statement I hear a lot: there's already somebody doing what I want to do. I run into this one when I teach my How to Create a Product in a Week course. Invariably, somebody will decide on a product that they're going to create. We help them figure out their ideal audience, and they're going to create that product for that audience. And then they'll go scoping around and seeing who else has created something like that. And they'll almost always find that somebody else is already doing it. And then they'll be like, well, so-and-so's already doing it, and they're bigger than me, and whatever. Scarcity thinking. There's plenty of room in the world for you and your message and what you have to share. It doesn't matter how many other thousands of people are doing something similar. It would be like a doctor saying, there's already doctors in the world. The world doesn't need one more doctor. Or, think about the number of life coaches that there are. Each one of them, different personalities, different focuses. It's you and what makes you unique. That's what's scarce, you. And when you bring that into whatever you're doing, you can let go of this, somebody's already doing it. Another symptom of this one is people don't have the money to pay me. And this one sometimes is an outgrowth of our own situation. We may not have the money at that moment. And so we project that onto other people, that they don't have the money to pay. And again, that's rooted in the scarcity thinking. Now, the causes of scarcity thinking are multitudinal. Is that a word? It's a word that came to mind. But generational can be a big part of it. If you have, let's say that you had ancestors who lived through the Great Depression, it's been documented. There's actually studies been done that when you go through a trauma in your life, it actually marks your DNA. There's actually markers that get put on your DNA in a traumatic situation, and it alters your DNA, and that cellular memory, there's just tons of storage in your DNA that they're just now finding, and they had never even realized. Those memories get passed down to the children that you have and the grandchildren and go on down through time. So the scarcity thinking you have may be, great-grandma's Depression era situation. It may have nothing to do with you. This one comes up quite a bit for people. I have a daughter. I swear she's got some generational stuff around food, and I need to actually do some SimplyHealed work for her on this. But she likes to just possess the food. She doesn't want to eat it, but she likes to kind of hoard it off. And then she'll hoard it on these little, if she goes to a church function and they've got lots of desserts, she'll get like 5 desserts and really only eat a nibble out of 1 or 2 of them. And the rest she'll like store on a plate, until it gets all hard and crusty and you got to throw the thing away. So I'm like, okay, she's got to have some generational things on that. It's just funny. So the past trauma in your own life, if you've gone through something difficult where you didn't have enough or your family was poor, all of those kind of things could play a role in that. Again, false beliefs, getting stuck in a rut can get you into scarcity thinking. You could be totally fine going along, not having any scarcity thinking at all, and then something slam you. And I'll just be honest, when I had to start my business over from scratch, I've really had to battle the scarcity thinking because of having that happen. It got me stuck back into a rut of where things were more difficult and they didn't flow as readily as they had in the past. And you start to kind of, if you let that work on your thinking, you can get in a pattern of thinking there's not enough, call that stinking thinking, or I guess I probably got that from, I think I heard Leslie Householder say it, but I don't know who said it originally. But stinking thinking, where you just kind of get in a bad habit of thinking that there's not enough or that things aren't going to go your way. All right, the next barrier that entrepreneurs face is called the savior complex. And this one is just one I've named this because I see it come up a lot, and that's kind of what it is. You'll see this one, or I've seen it a lot with parents who have conscientiously tried to raise their children in a very moral, ethical way, perhaps in a faith-based environment, and then that child goes and does something completely contrary to what, you've raised them to do, and somehow now you are the bad parent. You are the parent who should have done better, and it's all your fault, and it's not the child's fault at all because it's all your fault. And just taking an inordinate responsibility for this child's choices. And it's going back a little bit to what I was talking about, making clients accountable as well, is other people have their freedom to choose, and you cannot take that away from them. And they don't always choose the way you told them to choose or you trained them to choose. They can go completely against that. It is not you, But if you are experiencing that, where you're just taking on all the weight of it, you may have the savior complex. Also, when you really want for others really bad what they don't seem to want bad enough for themselves, or maybe they don't want it at all for themselves, you can see it. You can see it for them. You want it for them bad, but they're just not willing to do the work because they either can't see it enough or they don't want it bad enough. But if you're running into that, you might have the savior complex. Also, this need to fix. You can. I have some friends that sometimes they'll be like, "Well, I can fix that." It's like, I can fix that for you. Just fixers, people who want to fix things. And I've been a fixer. I say, "Well, I can fix that for you," whatever. It's rooted in the savior complex as well, and worrying over other people's problems. Sometimes you meet people that they don't really have any problems in their life, but their kids have problems, and their friends have problems, and their parents have problems, and they spend their whole time worrying about other people's problems. And granted, yeah, you are concerned with other people. We do love other people, but if you're spending a whole lot of time and losing a whole lot of sleep worrying over other people's problems, you might have the savior complex. And it's really this is kind of a cause and, well, it is a cause, the need to be needed. Some of us we just really need to be needed. So like when our children leave the nest and we just don't even know what to do anymore. I know a lady who, her son's left, and she's like, "Well, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with my life anymore. My life is over now," because, her whole life was that her son's raising her sons, and after they were gone, and nobody needed her anymore, and so she didn't have a purpose in her life anymore. And that can cause the savior complex. The symptoms of it, and I think I've put these slides around backwards. I should have given you the symptoms before the causes, is a drive to excel. And no, these are causes. I've mislabeled it. The others are symptoms. Now we're doing causes. I got to fix that. Sorry. A drive to excel can cause the savior complex because we just really want everything to be excellent, to do our best, and part of that is that we should be superhuman. I always say that I thought I had to be the Wonder Woman. I had to work and earn the living and then go outside and patch a water line and come back in and, start working again. Everything I did had to be like off the charts Superwoman. And, that just leads to this savior complex that causes problems. Part of another reason why we might have it is we see the potential in other people. We see their greatness. We see what's possible for them. and we may be impatient for that to unfold, and so we're going to like do that for them or try to make it happen for them. So we rush in and try to fix things or try to help them or enable people. I definitely had this one a lot, and so I would just, I'd see the potential in somebody, and well, just let me, drag you by the hair of the head and let's get this done, and it would frustrate me if I could see the potential and the person wouldn't act and they wouldn't do it. It would just be so frustrating. I've gotten better about that over the years, but it creates this impatience with other people. Like, why aren't you doing something? Come on, get on with it. And we're owning other people's stuff. We've got enough of our own issues. We don't need to worry about owning other people's stuff, but we tend to do that. And there's a lot of false beliefs underneath this, like some of it has to do with that we're stronger, perhaps, than these other people, so it's easier for us to just do it. Or it's more work to have to show somebody else how to do it, so I'll just do it myself. And really those are false beliefs, because, yes, it may take some time to train somebody else to delegate to or whatever, but in the long run, that's freeing you up with a lot of time that you wouldn't have. And, yes, you may be stronger to carry the load, but if you continually carry other people's loads for them, they don't develop the muscles and the resilience that they need for themselves, and you're just enabling them to be wusses, if you continue to do your stuff. And it's caused by a need to control. Again, you want to control the outcome for them, for you, for whatever's happening. And again, it's kind of rooted in this belief that you're the only one that's strong enough or capable enough to deal with this, or it's easier for you, so you may as well do it, kind of thing. Okay, so there's our 7 barriers, and we want to break through the barriers. And so I'm going to give you one way to do that today. I'm actually going to show you 2 ways to do it. And this one you can do on your own. The first is you just acknowledge it, that you have it. So when we went through these 7, if you saw yourself in any of those and you acknowledge that, okay, I must have this one, that's the first step. Acknowledging is like 50% of the battle, because most of us just aren't even aware that we're doing it. And then you ask yourself, okay, so these beliefs or this way of thinking that I have, is it valid? Am I the only one strong enough to carry that load? Or is it that important that everything be done to such perfection that I have to control everything? Is it working for you? Is it a valid belief? If it's not in your highest good to keep this, then you want to let it go. And here's the way I let it go, is I create a safety net where it's safe to let it go. Okay, so if, let's say, I'm going to take a delegation in your business example. Okay, let's say that I have a feeling that I need it done perfectly and I have a need to control. And I don't want to delegate to my staff because I can't trust them to do it perfectly, right? So if I wanted to create a safety net, then I would, number one, have to be able to trust the person that I delegated to, right? And then I would have to know that I was hiring good people that I could count on, that the people I hired were responsible, that they followed through, that they did perhaps even a better job than I did because they had different strengths than me, and they could step in and do things perhaps that I can't be perfect at. Okay, so that's the kind of safety net that you might create. So you would put in new beliefs for yourself that are like, I hire competent, capable, responsible staff. The people who work for me are top-notch. They're excellent at what they do. I can trust them completely. And this becomes like the job description. You get really thorough and you create this job description of not just what this person can do with their skills and their abilities, but also what kind of person are they? What kind of character are they where you could just trust this person and you could let go of that. And then you can just say, you could turn these into affirmations, or you could become things that you tell yourself about the type of people that you hire. And it also becomes the lens through which you hire your employees or hire your staff, to know that this is what you're looking for so that you can recognize it. Because half the time we get things in our life because we're not specific. We don't know what we want. My friend Lisa Ray Preston was on the phone with me today, and she said, when you don't know what you want, you're never going to be happy. And I think that is so true. So when you look at why you're thinking the way you're thinking and you flip it around and create these safety nets and then create new belief systems that this is what I'm looking for in life, this is what I'm looking for in employees or supportive partners or spouse or whatever, you start to bring those things to you. And then you detach from the emotion of it. You let go of it. So you're not micromanaging these people anymore. You're not wondering, are they doing their job? Are they responsible? Or are they not responsible? You're detaching from the outcome of that. And then you go ahead and you just act as if that's done, that the people that you're hiring, this is the way they are. So that's one of the ways that you can break through the barrier. Acknowledge it. Ask if it's a valid concern. It may be a valid concern if you really keep hiring people who aren't trustworthy to delegate with, so you still need to flip it around, but it's not in your highest good to keep hiring people that you can't trust. So then you create the safety net of what it would make it safe to hire and delegate and let it go, and then create the new beliefs, detach from your outcome and the emotion, and go ahead and act as if it's in place. Another way that you can do this is with using energy therapy. And I don't know if you're familiar with energy therapy, but this is something I'm certified in, and it's a way where you can deal with the past trauma, the false beliefs that you may have built up over time, or even the generational patterns, where you don't have to relive every detail of a trauma. You can just find the emotions held within the memories and release those from your body, from your cells, from your energy field, so that you can then go on and live your life as if it didn't happen. It doesn't erase your memories, but it releases the emotional potency of them, so they're no longer a barrier in your life. And then it gets down to the root of the problem on an energetic level. So, we have our conscious minds where we can actively choose what we want. We have our subconscious minds that's where a lot of our beliefs are, and it's almost like we run on autopilot. Our beliefs and automatic functions and the way our habits, those things are down in our subconscious mind. The energy of our body and our emotions and everything that we are is kind of down in there with that subconscious mind. So you get down into the root of there and release the emotion, release the blockages. So with energy therapy, you can do like what I mentioned at the beginning of the call. If you've got all these boxes and bags and trash between you and the door, energy work can go through, get that stuff out of the way, and then it liberates you to be free to choose to walk out the door. Energy therapy can't move your legs for you and make you walk out the door, but it at least can get the debris out of the way so that you then can actively choose something different for your life. And this is really what it did for me, like in my own situation, in releasing weight and getting out of a dysfunctional marriage, facing the confrontation and everything. It just moved things out of the way. It strengthened my my resolve. It gave me the feelings of value and worth that I needed to have the strength to walk out the door and do what I needed to do. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am a certified SimplyHealed practitioner, And so this is the type of work I do with my clients all the time and see just some really cool results. And I'm doing a class next week, a series of sessions in a group format that helps you move these 7 barriers out of your way. And I use a combination of just educating you more on what's happening and the energy. I bring the energy therapy into play. These are the things I'm going to cover in that class. It's stand in your truth and conquer your fear of confrontation is one segment. Releasing the savior complex. You aren't responsible for other people's outcomes. And abandoning scarcity and embracing abundance. Overcoming the fear of public speaking, videos, putting yourself out there. Attracting supportive friends, colleagues, and clients. And leaving behind the fear of failure and the fear of success. This is $540 worth of energy therapy if you just bought it by the hour. You're going to come away with feeling fantastic about your life as you show up fully and express your unique gifts. You're going to effortlessly receive the abundance that's all around you. We're swimming in abundance, but we block it a lot of times by these barriers, really. And you're going to come away letting go of other people's stuff. There's so much of what holds us back is what we're hanging on to from clients, family members, friends. We're taking ownership of their problems. And just letting that go, letting it out of the way, it makes a huge difference. Here's just what a few people are saying who have taken this Breakthrough to Radiance. This is Donna Blevins. She said, your Breakthrough to Radiance has really helped me to release a lot of fear that I didn't even realize and had been chewing on and gluing to me like little Pac-Men that hold on to your body. I've looked forward to every session because I came away feeling release, feeling opened up, feeling the radiance coming through. People have been responding to me differently in public without me even saying anything about what I'm doing. I don't go around with a silly smile on my face. I have a pleasant look on my face, but I'll be going past people in a store and they'll look at me and smile, and that's really unusual and surprising for me. You have helped my energy to shift and cleaned out a lot of the garbage, which has been very beneficial. And then here's another gal. This is Regina Lovelace. She said, I've gained confidence and a willingness to be seen on a broader level without having a problem with that. I recorded a video of myself singing a song I wrote during the course. I'm doing a workshop. I made a video for that, and it seemed like a piece of cake after I got past the hurdle of doing the first one during the training. So that's a couple examples of the type of outcomes people get. I have 10 spots available in this next Breakthrough to Radiance series, and you can find it at marniepehrson.com/radiance.php. And
Hi, Marnie?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Ian Rosnack. Sorry, I disconnected myself when I wanted to ask you a question. Can you go into just a little bit more detail on what happens during each of these sessions?
Yeah. Okay, each one of them, the first session on Monday is going to cover the standing in your truth and conquering your fear of confrontation and the releasing the savior complex. So it's instructional in that we're going to really dive deep into these and what's causing them, and then we're going to use the energy technique, the SimplyHealed energy technique, to clear that for you. So you'll have a chance to share. I keep the classes small, so no more than 10 people on them. So if you want to bring up and say, hey, I think I've got this one, and this is what I think it's coming from, or hey, or maybe you don't even want to say what it's coming from, but you just say, can you check my energy around this? I can actually do a little quick session to clear that for you, and then if it's similar for anyone else on the call, it'll clear for them too. So when I clear the energy for the people in the one person in the group, if anyone else needs it, it'll clear for them too. And there tends to be patterns of people that, you know, have similar situations, but normally I have enough time to kind of go and work with each person on something that they want help with in each of these. So that's the first session. The second session is going to be doing the scarcity and embracing abundance and the fear of public speaking and videos. And then the third one these are 90-minute sessions. I'm doing them in a week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So the third one is attracting supportive friends and colleagues, and then leaving the fear of failure and fear of success behind. So we're really doing concentrated group energy work and a little bit of instruction to help you understand, give you some tips on how to think differently around these as well. So kind of practical with the spiritual, so to speak, if that makes any sense. Does that help?
Yes, that does. Because even though I'm really like where my life is and really happy with stuff, I always know that there's always something just still lurking in there that always...
Yeah, it kind of comes off in waves or something, you get a lot of it out and then, bump into something else. There's something else there. So.
Yeah, and God just did this major, huge, what I call rearranging, and this time he decided to throw some sticks of dynamite with their rearranging. And so I just want to make sure that whatever he's got planned down the road here, that I'm not going to go screwing it up. Because it's kind of like a lot of things now have just lined up where I'm going, oh my gosh, I can just really move forward. So, but I also know there's always something, in there that you can always, have. It just this doesn't seem like no matter what level you go at, something else just rears its little head that is like, hello. So, but I know that I've been through a couple of your healing things, and it just seems like, I didn't even maybe know there was something, and just going through the class or going through the healing sessions, it's like, I would never have thought of that, or, I didn't realize that was going on. So, it looks like maybe I can squeeze you in. So, okay, that looks good.
I'm glad I can fit into your so busy schedule.
It's unreal. It's like, what is this? Thanks, Marnie.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Ann.
Hello, Marnie.
Yeah.
This is Sarah from England.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I going through the Monday things that you're going to cover. Mm-hmm. I didn't listen. Okay, I sort of missed the first 5 minutes, but I'm not sure which of these fears I have. So I don't know. I can resonate with sessions 2 and 3, but I'm not sure which of these fears I have. I may have them and not even be aware of them.
It's funny because, like the gal Donna Blevins here, she's a pretty tough cookie, and so she'll do confrontation, she'll do confrontation fine, but even in the fear of confrontation when she had some stuff come up. So it's interesting how we all just seem to have a little bit of all of these. I haven't really run into anybody who says, I don't have that one at all. So you may end up...
Well, I'm sure I have something, but I'm not sure. I haven't been able to nail it. I definitely need to do it because I'm trying to push my business through, and I feel stuck. I just cringe when I have to do a video. I don't know what it is. Yeah, when everybody says, oh, you should use your YouTube account more, and I'm like, oh, gosh, I don't want anybody to see my face.
Well, you're not alone. A lot of people feel that way. So.
Yeah, so.
We'll get you doing it.
Marnie, I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that sometimes this kind of comes off in waves. Is that right?
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah, it does.
Because I just kind of recognize a lot of this that you've gone through in my original family and then in the family that I married into in my first marriage, and the whole dynamics there, of course, repeating some patterns. And so I have had some therapy and some EMDR and a little bit of energy work. But I was just wondering, boy, I sure would like to clear it once and for all, but is that possible?
It is. It is possible to clear it once and for all. What will happen with the energy work is whatever your spirit is ready to release will release. Okay? So if that's all of it, it will be all of it. But I can't say because every person's a little different on what they're ready to release on something. But there's been things like, for example, on my weight thing, I hated exercise. I just despised it. I didn't want to do it at all. And a colleague who's a SimplyHealed practitioner hooked me up to exercise. And it just clicked, and it just ran with it. And I love exercise. For the last 3 years, I've been exercising regularly, and I anticipate I'll be doing it till the day I die. And it just moved right overnight. So, but then other times it may be that I'm ready for a partial thing to be moved here, and for me to move forward in my life for a while, and I might get a year or two down the road, and there may be, oh, now I'm ready to move some other piece of something, you know. But you shouldn't need to have to keep coming back and, you know, and have everything you need to move ought to go with this. This is a really thorough class that I do. The people that came out of it have really taken off. There's been ladies in here that were stuck with their creating their products, and they've gone on and taken my How to Create Your Program in a Week class and have really gotten their stuff done, and where they were totally stuck before. Now they're actually getting things done, getting their sales pages up, doing preview calls, and you know, so you should see some major shift come out of it and moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That would be really great for me, Marnie, because I'm at a crossroads and I really want to give up my day job and just concentrate on my business. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll endeavor to sign up as soon as possible.
Yeah, looking forward to having you on. I always enjoy having you in my classes, Joa. Love that British accent.
Thank you very much. Yes, right. I'm really looking forward to it because some of the few that I'd attended, I'd noticed things had shifted in there. So I'm ready to get rid of all the rest of the gunk and move on life.
Sounds good. Sounds
Thank
good.
you very much.
All right. Thank you.